How bad are things in Iraq? Nearly a week ago, Prime Minister Maliki said the assault in Basra would be definitive. Now his aides say resistance has been tougher than expected, and critics see a political motive for going into Basra, which diluted the focus against al-Qaeda. The Basra assault has destabilized the region, weakening Maliki, bolstering his enemies, giving new influence to Iran. In our fourth story tonight, things are so bad, Iraq may now have its own Iraq. In keeping with that precedent, after calling Sunday's ceasefire a victory, Maliki's government was hit again today with rockets in the green zone and continued fighting in Basra. And today, Senator John McCain said he was surprised by the Basra assault, despite the fact the U.S. has pushed for a crackdown on Muqtada al-Sadr's militias there, despite the fact McCain was in Iraq and spoke with Maliki the day before the assault was launched. Now that Sadr's ceasefire seems to have boosted Sadr's standing, McCain was asked whether this all had backfired on Maliki. Quoting him, apparently it was Sadr who asked for the ceasefire, declared a ceasefire. It wasn't Maliki. Very rarely do I see the winning side declaring a ceasefire, except the McClatchy newspapers reported last night that Sadr had only called the ceasefire after members of Maliki's government asked Sadr to do so during a secret trip to meet with Sadr in Iran, making McCain wrong about the facts on his signature issue, making Sadr, not Maliki, the victor in this conflict, by McCain's own reasoning, and making Iran and not McCain, not the U.S., the mediator of choice for Iraq's two top Shiite factions, the Maliki government and the Sadrists. With us tonight on this vital issue, Nebraska Senator Chuck Hagel, a member of the Foreign Relations Committee, a decorated veteran of Vietnam, and author now of the new book, America, Our Next Chapter. Senator, great thanks for your time tonight.
Thank you, Keith.
General Petraeus reports to the Senate next week. What new questions do these events in Basra put in your mind to ask him?
Well, first, Keith, we need some strategic context from him as to what he is going to recommend to the president as to the next steps on our policy for the remainder of this year. Where are we going? I don't believe we've ever had a strategic context here. I think we have further destabilized the Middle East and undermined our own interests there, aside from doing great damage to our military, our structure, our system. This issue on Basra, Keith, is one that we've essentially deferred for the last couple of years. Many of us have been very aware, our intelligence people have, that the Shia warlords have been in charge down there, and we've essentially been paying them tribute for access to the port. And what Maliki was thinking, I have no idea, but the whole bizarre cycle that you have just recounted here, using Iran as a good example, we won't talk to Iran, we won't engage Iran, we threaten Iran, but the Iranian president is in Baghdad recently. Most of the Maliki government are exiles from Iran. We being Maliki, our guy, goes to Iran to try to get Iran to help with the problem in Basra. I mean, this is Alice in Wonderland over there. What's up is down, down is up.
Do you know, does anybody know if President Bush is doing enough or anything to ensure that the surge is not buying Maliki time and firepower, not in order to bring about political reconciliation, but time and firepower to cement his own political position?
Well, I don't know about that, but I will tell you this. When Crocker and Petraeus were before our Senate Foreign Relations Committee last fall, we asked a number of these questions. I asked specifically, what is the purpose of the surge? Now, I was told, the president has said, it was to buy more time for the Iraqis so that they could move to some high ground, trying to accomplish some political accommodation, leading to political reconciliation. That's not been done. We've essentially squandered precious American resources and lives, and we've lost time. We have deepened our involvement there where we truly are in a quagmire. It's going to be very, very difficult now to unravel all of this and start working out of this in a responsible way. What's astounding to me, Keith, is the administration keeps spinning this in some bizarre Orwellian way that things are going better with all of this violence. This shows that Maliki and the Iraqis can stand on their own, even though they've had to call us in on a number of occasions in the last 3 days. So that's the kind of question that will be, and that series of questions will be asked General Petraeus when he's before our committee next week.
As you pointed out, if it's getting better, why do we have more troops? Will we have more troops post-surge than we did pre-surge? But let me ask you one other issue that is related somewhat to this. In your new book, In America, Our Next Chapter, you have written, let me quote it exactly, a bipartisan unity ticket with a president from one party and vice president from the other could be appealing to Americans. Would you yourself consider being involved in that option this year? And as rumors have been going around in various cities, feelers gone out to or from your people to that of either Senator Clinton or Senator Obama, who is a co-sponsor with you on counterproliferation?
No, when I wrote that chapter and wrote the book, it had nothing to do with me or my political future. My point there was, Keith, this, and I think most Americans are so frustrated with our system that we are locked in a political paralysis, state of paralysis in Washington. The next president is going to have to govern with a consensus. That means that next president is going to have to reach out. I think a bipartisan cabinet, the possibility of maybe a bipartisan ticket. I'm not predicting that. I'm not suggesting that. But we're living through one of the great transformations in American politics in the world. And that means that we are forcing ourselves into a reorientation to be relevant. That's what politics is about. Are we relevant or not? Are we fixing America's problems or not? Are we leading or not? We're not. Both parties have failed here. We've squandered the last 8 years, and that's going to propel a whole new dynamic in American politics, as every watershed election has.
I think a lot of Democrats would agree with you on that. A bipartisan cabinet worked for FDR, it worked for Lincoln and many others. Perhaps they'll listen to you. Senator Chuck Hagel of Nebraska. The book is America, Our Next Chapter. Tough questions, straight answers. Thank you for some of them tonight, Senator.
Thanks, Keith.